Today I'm talking to Elliot Connor, age 21, from England. He is an author, filmmaker, naturalist, and rhinoceros. Not really a rhino, but this year he spent 6 months in Bristol in South Africa dressed as a rhino filming a movie to educate people about the plight of rhinos for his University of the West of England BBC Masters in Wildlife Filmmaking. Hi Elliot, thanks for joining me today. I loved your film. What did you learn while filming that surprised you?
Oh, well, thank you, Robert, for inviting me on. Absolute pleasure to chat. Inspiration as always, mate. I learned quite a lot whilst filming I'm a Rhino because I chose rhinos as an animal which I didn't know a lot about when I started. I didn't really truly appreciate very much, and I found a lot of people shared that opinion over the course of filming. When I first had the idea, I wanted to test that. So I asked 50 people I knew what their favorite animal was, and nobody said rhino. So I thought it was good enough, unappreciated, undervalued species to look at and try and maybe change a few people's minds. My favorite fact I learned actually was that rhinos are very ticklish. I enjoy this immensely, particularly their back hind leg. Just tickle them under that fold. They love it. Absolutely, you can do that for days. Any rhino will absolutely adore you for it. The other thing I learned was that rhinos ski backwards, which was very satisfying.
My favorite part was when you were working with the kids from Africa, and my mom liked the snorty rhino drinking from the bottle and hollering. What was your favorite part of the film?
All of it, a lot of it. I did some really cool things to film this. I enjoyed being chased by the anti-poaching hounds. That's been on the bucket list for years and years and years, and it was a brilliant excuse to do that. So getting to run away from them for 15 minutes and just hearing their bark come closer and closer. I think maybe the biggest highlight for me was doing the aerial anti-poaching stuff because that was day one of filming, literally the first morning, and it was a beautiful, absolutely pristine morning. So getting to do that for half an hour was just surreal, amazing. Flying in the aircraft with no doors, basically made of paper and sail fabric. It's such a flimsy little aircraft. You get to have that full experience. It's truly like you're flying. So that was very, very good fun.
There are five kinds of rhinos: 40 Sumatran rhinos, more than 6,000 black rhinos in Namibia and coastal East Africa, less than 16,000 southern white rhinos, also in Namibia and coastal East Africa, but only two female northern white rhino at the Olhejia Conservancy in Kenya, protected round the clock by armed guards. 70 Javan rhinos that only live in Ujung Kulon National Park in Indonesia, and 4,000 greater one-horned rhino in India. What threatens all those rhinos?
So for the Asian rhinos, the Sumatran rhinos, the Javan rhinos, it's mostly habitat loss. Obviously, those are two very, very small islands to begin with, and with just the sheer rate of destruction of the habitat there for palm oil and other plantations, they've been driven out at incredible rates. So for the African rhinos, poaching is a huge factor because they've got the much larger horns, so they're a usually tempting target, and it's literally decimated their population. They're down about 90-95% in the last 100 years. In many places, they've just gone locally extinct. You mentioned the northern white rhino, which is down to the last two females, and they're extinct in the wild already. The last male northern white rhino sadly died, so they're now trying to artificially inseminate the but that subspecies could be gone in sort of years. They've already lost several subspecies of black rhino. It's a really hard battle, hard war that's being fought out there to try and help protect and conserve and save these species. South Africa, where I was filming, is one of the few places where they're having some success. The rhino populations are back on the rise.
So, rhino horn is made out of Keratin, which is the same as fingernails and hair. So people using it for medicine are basically doing the same thing as eating their hair and fingernails.
So it's somewhat of a myth, rhino horn being used for medicine. Initially, it was and was used for a long time as medicine. Nowadays, it's much more as a status symbol. So, given the cultural significance it come to take on across much of Asia, in China, in Thailand, now it will just be given as a gift to a relative, maybe if they're sick, but not necessarily to help heal them. But you're right, it is absolutely the same stuff keratin in our fingernails and our hair with a melanin core. So you think of rhino horns a bit like pencils. They've got this melanin core and then the softer keratin outside. They have to basically shave away, keep it nice and pointy. Otherwise, their horns would be cylinders. They wouldn't be very effective for poking anything with.
What do you love most about rhinos?
They're very huggable creatures, rhinos. You don't get to say that about a lot of African animals, but they're just the right size. Just big hug. The rhino, the rhinos I was filming with at the Zululand Rhino Orphanage were the young calves. And what I loved about them was just their energy and their joie de vivre. They've got this incredible energy in this. They're never, ever tired. Never want to go to sleep. Always want to get the other rhinos playing with them. They'll frequently lift each other up and giving piggybacks and they toss the tires. So these big monster truck tires are put in the bomas with the rhinos, basically as protection for the carers there. So some of the rhinos, obviously, they've had really hard lives, so they've got mixed relationships with people. And one of them, the oldest, Leko, he doesn't like any men. So I couldn't stay in the boma for any long amount of time whilst we were filming because he'd just walk towards me really slowly, menacingly. If I didn't get out the way, he would charge. So they put the tires in the boma so that if any of the rhinos charge the carers, they can hop into one of the tires and the rhinos can't charge past the tire. But obviously, the rhinos can fit the tire. They have to jump inside the tire and then run very fast when the rhino's distracted.
What can kids do to help rhinos?
I think the big thing that kids can do to help is to help raise awareness about the issue because, I mean, there's no reason why we should be poaching rhinos for their horns. It's a silly practice driven by these very outdated ideas about what these rhino horns can be used for. I promise you, they look much, much better on the rhinos themselves. So we can start helping others with your generation, most people like yourself, to be aware of rhino poaching and the horrible effect it has. I think that's the most important thing, so that people stop buying it, so the poachers stop having to take it off the rhinos, because nobody wins ultimately. It's very, very sad.
At the end of your movie, it was really sad, and my mom didn't let me look. And a poacher took a mother's rhino horn and left her baby and her to die. Why do people suck sometimes?
Yeah, so rhino poaching's a bit different from the other sorts of poaching that go on, like bushmeat poaching and things like that. I mean, some people do it for sport, but a lot of the people who put up snares and try and catch these animals are doing it to try and sustain themselves, to get the meat they eat to live. For rhino poaching, it's these big illegal syndicates. They're mafias, basically. So lots of very powerful, very bad men who often trade in a lot more than rhino horn, who trade in illegal arms, illegal drugs as well. Ultimately, the reason they're doing it is for money, because that's the biggest motivator, and because they haven't been blessed as you and I have with the incredible chance to connect with nature, to learn to love and appreciate it. Sadly, fewer and fewer people nowadays get to really experience it and come to respect, appreciate, love these animals. So they don't place the same value on the life of a rhino as they might on the life of a person. It's very sad. But
Elliot, you and I are both on the council at Reserva Youth Land Trust. Why do you love Reserva so much?
oh, good question. I've been following Reserva, I guess, since the start. And it was always very interesting to see what Tally and the folks were up to. And it's always something unexpected, cool. I never dreamt that youth would have the power to start this reserve at Dracula, and that we managed it earlier this year is a true testament to the power of that community, to the incredible people on the Reserva Youth Council coming together, making it all happen. And I just think that camaraderie, that amazing community group of people and the things get shared together is so brilliant. And Reserva does that better than anyone. It's such good fun to be part of, doing incredible things with incredible impact. Can't wait to continue doing that with a couple of new projects in the year coming.
It's been really great talking to you, Elliot. As a thank you, we'd like to make a donation on your behalf to your favorite conservation charity. What charity would you like us to choose, and what do they do?
So my favourite charity for this year is the Zululand Rhino Orphanage, because I got to meet all the lovely young calves there, who are cute and amazing. In fact, such hard life, due to none of their fault. So with their mothers, most of them getting shot by poachers, and they take in these calves. Zululand is where most of the rhino poaching in South Africa is now taking place. It's the new hotspot for this year and last year. So the rhinos there are being shot and killed faster than anywhere else, and they're getting in half a dozen orphans each year that they have to raise. And there's so much effort that goes into it, raising them for these 2 years before they can release them back into the wild. It's just amazing to see the connection they have with these animals and how much they love them.
Please check out Elliot's film in the link below. But maybe if you're a kid with a parent who can cover your eyes at the end, as well as his favorite charity, Zululand Rhino Orphanage. And remember, together kids can save the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.